okay, and it can cause pH, we call it pH spikes, okay. Suddenly a lot of ammonia, a lot of urea, it's very hot temperature, the bacteria are working, transforming the urea to ammonium, and suddenly you have this pH spikes when it goes ups and downs, depends on the urea transforming to ammonium. So urea is okay, but you just need to keep in mind urea is okay in soil. In soil culture, urea is like feeding nothing to the plant, okay? In soil culture, when you feed urea, the urea won't get to the plant. That's why we never recommend on fertilizers that contain urea in substrate in soilless culture. Then we have ammonium. Ammonium, when he uptake by the plant, he neutralizes itself, but by extracting out a proton that decreases the pH of the soil, okay? So when we have a lot of ammonium, we will lower the pH. In soil, because we have a larger buffer, it takes more time, and it mostly affects the rhizosphere, the close very part of the root zone. But in substrate, it has a huge effect. In soilless culture, we don't work over 20% of ammonium. This is the max. Usually we even say 10 and less. And nitrate is very stable. And because you have nitrate instead of ammonium, so it helps the calcium to be uptaken by the plant. So if I will say, don't choose your fertilizer, you invest so much in greenhouses and everything, invest in all the equipment you do, but just by choosing your nitrogen source, this can really affect. Don't choose it by price. Choose it by your needs, what you need. Okay, so sometimes farmers will fertilize urea because it's the cheapest nitrogen. But let's say in soilless culture, it's like feeding nothing. Okay, so you think you're feeding urea, but the plant is not uptaking the urea. We wanted the right time. A plant, you can see here, this is a uptake dynamic graph of a pepper capsicum plant. And you can see the dynamic of the season of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And you can see at every stage of the plant demand is different. We don't want a fixed fertilization plant. We want to understand what is the phenological stage and to adjust our fertilization accordingly. We want to bring it to the right place. As I said, a lot of time I see at farmers, they make this tank, everything is correct, they make everything, they do everything okay, but just because they didn't do the right compatibility separation, then they have a very low uniformity in the field. Sometimes when you mix accidentally mix phosphate, sulfates with calcium, then you suddenly see where at the beginning of the drip line the plants look good, at the end of the drip line they look worse. You have a very, it's not consistent, okay? So we need to be sure that we are mixing correctly the fertilizers and do it in the right way. And if I will give a few rules for fertilizer mixing. So first of all, magnesium logic. Okay, so magnesium, usually you can put it, I'm not talking about magnesium sulfate, I'm talking about magnesium nitrate. You can put it together within the phosphate tank, but you need to be sure that pH is low. If the pH is not under 5, so you can get some sedimentation and precipitation in the tank. So magnesium can go in both tanks, but if you put it in the phosphorus tank, the magnesium nitrate, magnesium sulfate never goes with calcium, yeah? But magnesium nitrate, if you put it with phosphorus, you need to be sure the pH is under 5. When we use only single tank, when we don't use calcium, we need to be sure that the pH in the tank is low enough that we have a good solution of the stock solution. And if it's a little bit high, it's better maybe to add a little bit of acid to decrease the pH.